It is time now for Media Watch, and I'm joined here in the studio by James Creedon. Hello,
Hi,
James. Let's begin with all the latest developments in Lebanon, because, of course, the Prime Minister announced he was resigning today. How's that gone down?
Well, a flood of information on social media. I'll start with a couple of videos that have been uploaded onto Twitter. We should have some audio on this one as well. Now, what you hear in this video here is people shouting Kilun, which is basically, it means everyone. And what they mean by that, I'm not sure if we have the sound on it, but Kilun is what they're shouting. And it means we want them all out. Saad Hariri has decided to step down, but we want all of them to go. Now, in the next video here, what we should be hearing here, let me have a look, is Taura, and Taura means revolution. So there's a huge amount of passion on the streets of Beirut and elsewhere in Lebanon, and the desire is to see absolutely all of the elected officials leave. This is the Interior Minister, Tom, tweeting earlier today, and she said that the resignation really was necessary to avoid a civil war type situation, that it had become that fractious. This is a correspondent for the Independent newspaper in the UK, and he's talking about how, of course, there was quite a lot of tension on the streets of various parts of Lebanon today. Clashes between protesters and members of Hezbollah. And what Richard Hall is talking about here is in the aftermath of all of that, you know, despite those tensions, it's now party time. People really celebrating what is seen as an important moment in this protest movement. This is another tweet alluding to that. People back on the streets. This feels like a well-earned victory. The will of the people prevails. Thugs will never be able to take this away from us. That is also one of the hashtags that has been most used by people tweeting online. It says Lubnan Yan Tafid, which means Lebanon rises up. And if you click on that, you have just a huge amount of information in various different languages. Elsewhere, what do we have? We have this particular tweet. Hezbollah's attempt to suppress the revolution and control the streets with violence their lies are now being uncovered, and so various people talking about Hezbollah's efforts to kind of sabotage things. People are already back cleaning. You will not prevail with your plots and your violence. That is a professor at the American University of Beirut. So people really did rally together, and it seems that there was a sense that things really moved forward today. We won one battle, time to win the war. Just a couple more on this. First step down, 3 to go. This is one Twitter user, and what they're talking about here is the different steps that the revolutionaries, I suppose, or indeed many of the young people out on the streets across all sectarian divides want to see. And this was the first one. They all have to go. Basically, the entire government, they want to see them stand down, and this has been a start. A new transitional government, that's the second step. Third step is for the entire system to be changed, so that people really feel that this is just one important step in a whole process. Ibrahim Halawi, I'll finish with this tweet. He's talking about patterns that we've seen in other countries, and he's referring to the Arab Spring, this notion in many countries through, I suppose, Tunisia, more recently Algeria, this desire to see all of the elected officials leave. But the same Arab Spring concerns arise. Who will lead the transition, and how will the traditional elite try to instrumentalise it?
Okay, so lots of questions there. Still not too many answers, and right. A lot of developments in Lebanon. Let's move to Brexit, another story we sort of seem to talk about fairly incessantly. Yes. Just tell us what's happening today.
Well, the live blogs are trying to keep up to speed, Tom, with the events inside in the Commons as various votes are taking place. This is on The Telegraph. Now, one question that was sort of resolved is whether or not people between the ages of 16 and 18 could vote, and whether EU nationals could vote, and that generated a huge amount of debate online. Some saying there is no precedent for EU nationals to vote in foreign general elections. It's a ridiculous and cynical attempt at gerrymandering. We know now that that's not going to happen. It was actually voted down, the idea that people, EU nationals, long-term residents in the UK who are paying taxes, that they should also be allowed to vote. It was decided no, it was gerrymandering, says this particular comment, to deny EU officials who have lived, worked and paid billions in taxes and had families here for decades decades, a vote in something that directly affects them. So a lot of comment online about that. There was this, if I could find it, this tweet today as well from Donald Tusk. He is standing down soon. To my British friends, the EU27 has formally adopted the extension. It may be the last one. Please make the best use of this time. I also want to say goodbye to you as my mission here is coming to an end. And just, I mean, everything is divisive when it comes to Brexit. Just to take a look at some reactions to that particular tweet. Don't cross your fingers. You might think you've been appeasing, but you've been a hand grenade. You will not be missed on this island, says one comment. And a diametrically opposite comment just below it. You've been a true friend to us and better than we ever deserved. Thank you and kudos. So as ever, Tom, it remains highly divisive. The next big question is when, the date for the general election. And I thought this was kind of an interesting little comment here. Now, here's the thing. If the election is agreed for December the 11th, Parliament will dissolve on the night of November the 5th, which is Guy Fawkes night, which might seem somewhat appropriate. Bonfire night for quite a divisive and inflammatory issue.
Absolutely. A wise observation from Tom Newton-Dunn, the political editor of The Sun. Thank you very much indeed for that.
Thanks, Tom.
James Creedon with today's edition of Media Watch. It is time